Hi, I'm Steven from Frachelli. You may remember me from some of my other cooking videos, like the one where I made a pancetta and mushroom omelet in fluffy sweatpants. Today we're taking things a little bit more seriously, because this is a Frachelli TV cooking special, and it's all about romance. For our main course, we're going to have beef tenderloin filet mignon. We're going to take shallots and reduce red wine to make a sauce that's akin to the French-style Demi Glace. To accompany this medium rare marvel of meat, we're going to make truffled mashed potatoes and a side of roasted zucchini. If you're not going to set the mood, don't even turn on the stove. Let's make this dining table more romantic. Much better, and this is the part where I tell you don't overthink it. Wine plus candlelight equals romance. It's a very simple recipe. Also added some homemade dipping oil, extra virgin olive oil, salt, pepper, and some rosemary, and of course, warm bread. If you want to go full steakhouse style, try our wedge salad. It's got thick cut dry rub bacon and has homemade blue cheese dressing. We'll link that video in the description below so you can check it out and make that if you like. We're gonna make a similar but lighter version here today. First, we're gonna take a heart of romaine, a little bit of a pun there since it's a romantic video, but heart of romaine, and do our favorite green prep trick where we soak the greens in water and a little bit of the same vinegar that we'll be using in the dressing, in this case, white wine vinegar. After 5 to 10 minutes, the leaves are going to be very crispy and the salad's going to be tasting very, very fresh. We'll place our heart of romaine, which we have trimmed, onto a plate, and we're going to top with half slices of grape tomatoes. They may not sit right on the salad, that's okay. They're going to look good and taste just as well on the side. For the dressing, we're going to use olive oil and freshly squeezed lemon juice. We're going to add just a little bit of salt and a crack of pepper, and the dressing is done. Oh wait, I forgot the vinegar. Like we mentioned, same vinegar used in the soaking trick, which is white wine in this case. We'll then top the salad with Parmigiano Reggiano Cheese, coarsely grated. Then we'll add a nice touch of little rings of shallots. Add the dressing and ready to serve. Of course, as always, you can add a crack of black pepper too. Now that you've had a salad and a glass of wine or three, a little serenading never hurt. I'll teach you a song that you can sing to your date. Now, say your date's name has 3 syllables. You can mix up the end a little bit like you get the idea. Hold on, I'm getting a call. Oh, it's Courtney. Hey babe, what's going on? I'm doing, well, it's supposed to be a surprise, but I'm doing a Valentine's Day video for you. Yes, I know it's February 15th. Valentine's Day is the 4th Thursday of February, right? So that's why you're so upset last night. I get it now. Okay. Who's Jennifer? Aren't you at work? Fictional character. Wait, don't hang up. Babe, no, I love you. Babe. Guys, I think I screwed this one up big time. Man, the only thing I can think of to fix it is time travel, and I get the worst heartburn when I time travel, but Camerawoman Courtney's upset, and I gotta do what I gotta do. February 14th, 2020. What? Ooh. For the potatoes, red potatoes, I've got small ones, so roughly 1 per serving. I cut them up into quarters and then put them in a pot with water, bring it up to a boil and let simmer for about 15 to 20 minutes. course, drain the water, and instead of using a potato masher, I used a ricer, and I find that that kind of peels the potato for me, so I don't have to do it beforehand. If you want to add that red skin into the mashed potatoes for a little color and texture, by all means add some of that in. Some of it will creep through too from the ricer. Now, a lot of preference in how you make the mashed potatoes. We're doing a truffle flavor. The truffle flavor is very, very strong. We're using truffle butter, so we're just putting in a little bit at a time and tasting, and also using a mixture of regular butter to even things out. I also like to add a little bit of sour cream to the mashed potatoes, and then slowly add in regular heavy cream until I get the consistency I like. I want these a little bit on the firmer side, not too creamy, so you want to sit them firm on the plate. The zucchini couldn't be easier. We're just gonna cut it in half, chop the ends off, and then we're gonna coat it with a little bit of olive oil and freshly squeezed lemon juice, and then also just put a little bit of salt and pepper. Optional, you can add some of that Parmigiano Reggiano cheese from the salad, but if you do, finely grate it versus coarsely grate it. To cook it, we're just gonna throw it in the oven preheated at 400, and it's gonna take about 15 to 20 minutes to start browning and looking delicious. For the filet, you want to heavily season both sides, or all sides rather, with salt and pepper. It may seem like a lot of salt, but this is a thick cut, and you need that much salt to have the flavor carry through. Now this part's very important. You want the steak to sit and get to room temperature before you cook it. If not, it will not cook evenly. When you're ready to cook the steak, take a cast iron skillet and put in some oil. I'm using canola oil. Then, once the oil is steaming hot, like you're a little worried it's almost burning, then put in a nice chunk of butter, and once the butter is melted, we're ready to throw on our steak. Sear it for 3 minutes on the first side. Now this is also really important. I don't care if the Pope calls, the smoke alarm goes off, do not touch the steak. You have to let it sit and sear for 3 minutes. Do not mess with it. Then we're gonna flip it over and flip the other side for 2 minutes, and also take about a minute to lightly sear the outside of the steak. As soon as the steak's done, take it out and wrap it in aluminum foil so the heat traps in and the steak continues to cook. We want to let it sit for about 10 to 15 minutes, which is perfect because that's how long it's going to take us to make the sauce. For the sauce, leave everything in the pan that's left over from cooking the steaks. I'm throwing in 2 cloves of garlic. It may look like forks, I just simply cut them in half. I also roughly chopped up a small shallot and throwing that in the mix as well. In about a minute or two, they should start to brown, but keep in mind there's also brown in the pan from the steak. And then we're ready to add our red wine. We're going to use basically a full glass of red wine, crank up the heat, and let it reduce. With the wine reducing, we're ready to add a little bit of salt and pepper and getting ready to add some beef broth. Now you want the wine to be very reduced, a thin layer of juice on the bottom of the pan. It could also be a little bit sludgy. For the beef broth, I'm just using very basic store-bought beef broth and using about 1/4 of a can. Similar to the red wine, we want this to reduce and we want the sauce to thicken. First, we're going to add in a little bit of butter, or maybe a lot of butter. This is a French-style recipe after all, and the butter is going to make the sauce thick and creamy. further thicken the sauce and make it more gravy-like, we're gonna sprinkle in some all-purpose flour. I do recommend sprinkling the flour in a little bit at a time to help get the right consistency. Also, as the sauce cooks, it's gonna get a little thicker on its own as the liquids start to evaporate and reduce. Now, the consistency is important, so you might have to add flour a couple of times. The whole process is gonna take about 10 to 15 minutes, but you wanna get it right. The sauce should not be runny or watery at all. It should be thick and creamy like a gravy. Romantic special is coming towards an end, and I just want to dedicate it to my Valentine, Camerawoman Courtney. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please hit the thumbs up and like the video on YouTube. That would help us out a lot. Also, if you subscribe to the channel, that would just make my day. I also really encourage you to go and make the dish. It may seem a little fancy and complicated, but if you follow the steps, you can totally make it at home, and it's absolutely delicious. Thank you so much for watching, and see you guys next time.